Hey Taurus, your February tarot reading is ready. I'm Eleanor and welcome to Pink Pearl Tarot. I have your main themes, week to week forecast, career and finance, and then love. So for February, your main themes are time with discipline, and then it says plum, overcome your challenges. So with these two, I feel like the challenges you might be faced with in February are going to be tests of patience and preparation. It's going to be critical that you do not procrastinate. And what this does is it gives you time to find even better solutions once you have an okay one. And it gives you time to edit your thought process. You're not like pushed up against a wall. You might also find that taking a beat in between impulse and action, speaking, purchasing, giving in, whatever it is, that the impulse actually fades out on its own if you let yourself breathe first. It might not be the sexiest of themes, but I want to point out that both of these cards are a 41. So I had to look that up. I was curious. Apparently it's known as the businessman in numerology. And so you're developing leadership skills and abilities to function in stressful situations that's going to bring you success. You'll have this superpower of being able to strategize and create the life you want more intentionally. So for week 1, you have the Four of Swords with Temperance. Looks like 6 feet under, and who's that? Walter White. Right off, this week is asking for patience. So if you're familiar with yoga, at the end of every session, they do what's called Shavasana. It's corpse pose. And you just lay back for a while, and you let all of the work that you did sink in. You let it integrate. And so that's exactly what this whole week is. One long rest in which you let everything sink in and integrate. You can let your mind and body regenerate. Also, I don't know if there are chemical reactions for existence, like gluing things together or when you want to fuse things, where you have to let it sit for a while in order to coalesce or cohere. That's this energy too. They're saying, leave it alone, I'm hearing. Whatever it is you're trying to get to come together, they're saying leave it alone and give it time to integrate, to come together, and to rest. Like agitating it is keeping it mixed up, or keeping it apart. So week 2, you have the Knight of Wands with the Devil. I don't know what this show is. I think that might be Chips, but I'm not sure. Watch out this week because this is where it's going to be extra important to take that breath before action. You're showing up in this Knight of Wands energy, which has a lot of positives when it comes to taking initiative, if one can discipline themselves enough to have follow through on that initiative. This is having the energy of lots of butterflies to chase, lots of distractions or stimulation. But paired with the Devil, slow your roll and check out the fine print. The Devil always has a lengthy, obscure contract. Like the one in Willy Wonka, that new one where he signed it without reading it, and he kind of bound himself to that lady's service forever. Not literally, which is what makes it all the more important to slow down enough to think things through. And I'm hearing the song lyric, the trap I set for you seems to have caught my leg instead. Because what I see is that there's something that you have your eye on, that you might be taking action towards, that might not be as glittery once you catch it as it looks at first. So for example, an impulse buy that you put on credit, think you're going to be able to pay it off really quick. Like if you pay it off this year, you won't have to pay any interest. Could end up being a debt that stays with you for longer than you think and costing more in interest than you think. Or like a no strings attached romantic fling could find you bound to someone in the long term that you wouldn't have chosen if you had played out the future in your mind with what that person would look like beyond the moment. Week 3, you have the Three of Swords. I don't know, this must be some kind of medical show. With the Ten of Cups, the Addams family. I find it perfect and fascinating that they chose the Addams family to represent the Ten of Cups, ultimate happiness. And then it came out with the Three of Swords, the pain that lives within all of us, existential pain, past trauma, the thing that our subconscious is always on the lookout to protect us from repeating. Anyways, it's funny because the Addams family was such a model of happiness in their own little dark world, embracing their dark surroundings, the dark humor, and other symbols of, quote, evil or, quote, horror to the shiny, happy normies. And all the shiny, happy normies of the world they have some degree of darkness, whether it's there's affairs, deep satisfaction, addiction, debt, something below the surface appearance. And the more perfect they try to make it, the more you wonder what's really going on. None of those things were present in this, I'm going to put in quotes again, freaky family. So it's an interesting truth about the differences between authentic happiness and the appearance of happiness. True happiness embraces and it enfolds the darkness because there's a recognition that that is essential for pleasure to even exist. Change and rate of change are actually what we perceive with our senses as we interface with this 3D world in the first place. Steady state, unwavering bliss is what people report when they die and come back. To be in this world is to vibrate on this solid plane much lower, feeling the oscillation of joy and sorrow in more lengthy waves. That's exactly life. And it almost feels like the shiny, happy normies of the Addams Family universe, and in the real world actually, the harder one tries to hide or run away from the truth of their pain, the more entrenched and darker it gets. So, whereas living with it, the way the Addams Family lives with Thing, spider webs, or whatever other ghouly stuff they just seem more integrated. So, I don't know, that's food for thought for week 3. Week 4, you have the 8 of Swords, I guess that's Orange is the New Black, and the King of Cups, Magnum PI. I seem to have a weird remembrance of this show, but I don't think I've ever actually watched it. It's more sentimental, like my parents would have watched it. Anyways, so there's a sense here of you using all of your mental energy to keep your emotions in check when you really don't have to. You can't overthink or rationalize your way to emotional mastery. What trying to do that does actually is just restrict access to your intuition, and it creates emotional buildup that can burst free in unhelpful ways at unexpected times. So locking yourself in your head doesn't make emotions go away. It just means that you can't hear what they're trying to tell you and do something about it. It's dismissing their intelligence. The route to emotional mastery is felt, not thought. Managing emotions is the better way to keep a cool head than to try to white knuckle your brain into doing what you wish it would do and using your inner dialogue to shame your heart into behaving. It's bottom up, not top down. This is what will actually put you in that number 41 businessman strategist energy. It would be like trying to play a chess game with the board like floating on water. That water's always going to come up over the board and knock your shit over. Anyway, the first step to this, it's lengthy and complicated, and I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't psychologist. I don't know. The first step to this, though, just for this week, is to have compassion for yourself and to stop judging your own feelings. Like, for example, okay, I could tell something was up with my son. And, I was like, okay, tell me what's going on. And before he finally let me in on what it was, he said, okay, but it's such a loser problem to have. And I'm like, oh, so there's this judgment piled on top of already challenging feelings. So take off that layer this week. Experiment with that. Naming your feelings without adding judgmental adjectives to them. So we're done with that. We're on finance. Career and finance, 7 of Cups with the Fool. So you're already in this strategic, calculating energy in general with these over here. And they're saying with these to build the ability to fail into your strategy, because nothing is guaranteed. It's kind of like a Schrodinger's cat thing. No matter how hard you try with that 7 of Cups energy, you cannot predict the outcome with 100% accuracy when it comes to markets, your clients' or viewers' behavior, your bosses' or coworkers' behavior or mood, or how they're going to respond to something, or whether they're even going to, show up to work. Plan as though all things are possible. Anything is possible, and you won't know until it happens. But with Fool energy, that doesn't mean plan for every single possibility you can think of. It means no plan other than that you will figure it the fuck out when the time comes, because that's how you do. Getting lost in the confusion of trying to envision all of the possible scenarios, what that does is that takes your eyes off the actual ball in play. So I wish I could give you something more concrete than this, but like other readers, tell me if I'm wrong. 7 of Cups and Fool says you cannot rely on probabilities. That's why the discipline, that energy in your theme is so important, because external circumstances, they're chaotic right now. But what you can trust is you and your ability to respond to challenge, to crisis, or to make productive use of a waiting game if that's what it is, or to capitalize on a forced rest, like forced time off, opportunity to rest and do nothing if that's what you have to do. True power is being able to navigate anything life throws at you to a successful landing, to pilot through the storm. Think of, on the other hand, orchids or other delicate life forms that have to have their environment exactly so, to the exact pH decimal point or whatever, otherwise they perish. So your key to success isn't creating a sure thing around you so that you become weak within it. So there's this perfect meme, okay? There's this perfect meme for this. It's a drawing of a dandelion, and it says, dandelions be like, screw you, I bloom where I want. Be like a dandelion. Anyways, that's what I have for you for career and finance. For love, this month I'm changing it up from an overall energy to a person A, person B, how they're viewing the connection at this little snapshot in time. Which one is you? You will know. Person A has 8 of Cups, so they are viewing this connection as something that can offer them greater satisfaction than what they have previously been in. Maybe they're in a situation now with someone else that is kind of running its course, or they have recently expressed that they desire for this current connection on your mind to expand, to deepen, or to give more. They see it as a goal or something to move towards, even if that means leaving something behind, with a past, a town, a pattern, a person. Person B has the 8 of Wands. So they look at the connection and they get a rush, a high. There's like an urgency, like everything is lining up, all the synchronicities, everything is pointing towards this connection. The wind at their back towards it. It's like it's like a little, there's all these like lit up arrows pointing towards it. For some, it could feel perfect, and for others, there's the possibility that could feel like it's almost moving too fast. I like that there's 2 8s, which indicates the energies are balanced and they're mirroring to some degree. You might see yourself a little bit in both of these. So with time and discipline and facing challenges, the advice to person A would be to make sure they have properly detached from whatever it is that they have to leave behind, so that there's no looking back, there's no regrets. And also to do it with patience and compassion for themselves and anyone else involved. For person B, watch out for that impulsive energy and breathe. They could take a passive approach and still get where they want to go without helping it along, because the trajectory is already set. I wouldn't try to manipulate it to go faster. Now, if it's already too fast, then that challenge to face could be setting a boundary to make it feel a little bit more comfortable. So that's what I have, Taurus. Lots going on. Much love, and I'll talk to you next month. Thank you.